The Professional Standards Committee of Sussex Police Authority convened on the 26th of January for the first of 4 meetings scheduled for 2011, and 7 of the 8 members of the committee attended. What happens to the committee in 2012 will depend on the passage of a bill before Parliament. As currently worded, the Police Reform and Social Responsibility Bill Chapter 1 states, there is to be a Police and Crime Commissioner for each police area. The Police and Crime Commissioner for a police area is to be elected. The Police and Crime Commissioner for a police area must hold the relevant Chief Constable to account. The police authorities established for police areas under Section 3 of the Police Act 1996 are abolished. Chapter 6 adds, an election of police and crime commissioners for all police areas is to be held in 2012 and in each subsequent 4th year. This video might help you to decide whether such a change to arrangements for authority over the police might be a distinct improvement. The video merely examines what happened when the committee dealt with Agenda Item 5. Here we go.
Item 5, minutes of last meeting, the inspection of complaints register held on the 13th of October. Is this an accurate record?
None of the 3 members of the committee present at that meeting and this meeting reported any inaccuracy in the minutes. The meeting of the committee was on the 13th of October 2010. 4 of the 8 committee members were present. The main items on the agenda concerned inspection, minuted in paragraphs 26 to 29. The semi-committee looked at 5 files. As one of the files spanned 2 meetings, at this rate the committee would look at 18 files in a year. A more interesting aspect to me was the fact that in paragraphs 27 to 29, the passive voice, whereby the object of an action is made the subject of a clause, is used 9 times. So no one person is recorded as responsible and accountable for anything. Who was it who didn't offer? Who selected, requested, followed, viewed, presented, contacted, explained, or did not uphold? The most serious of these evasions is the majority of files were selected randomly. Who selected them randomly? The only clue I have as an answer is what the previous chairman of the committee said at a previous authority meeting.
We're asking the Professional Standards Department to provide for us complaints under 2 headings. One that we specify, as listed previously, I think, in another report, but also one of a general type. In that way, we felt we can get some picture of the kind of complaints that are coming in to the police force.
The files were being selected by Sussex Police Professional Standards Department. Now, selecting something randomly is very difficult. If Sussex Police, who have an interest in minimising all complaints and keeping serious complaints to themselves, and their Professional Standards Department, which has a record for institutional dishonesty, are selecting the files, that practice should be stopped immediately, and stopped, of course, by the authority, which has evidently hitherto been accepting the practice. Bratton's statement that the committee was asking the Professional Standards Department to provide them with complaints to inspect was made last February. Since then, he has shown signs of being more willing to question Sussex police practices, though in a way which may be inhibited by circumstances or lack of resolution. At today's meeting, when Chairman Bull asked,
Any other items from there?
Bratton ventured to say,
following our discussion this morning within inspection of the complaints that we had before us, I think it would be very helpful if the complaints, if the Professional Standards Committee had some terms of reference formally defined as to exactly what the role of that scrutiny is.
By morning, Bratton perhaps means earlier this afternoon. unless they had a meeting before the private part of this meeting, the secret part of which was scheduled to start at midday. They were discussing complaints. Were they discussing serious complaints, such as they only discuss in private? Anyway, police authorities were created by the Police Act of 1996. So after Sussex Police Authority has supposedly been monitoring complaints for 15 years, a member of the committee responsible for examining complaints wonders what they should be doing with them. What do the rest of the committee think?
I disagree with that. I felt that there was a minority view, that we weren't clear about what our role and purpose was this morning, but I'm happy to go if the majority want to do that.
I'm with Emma on this one, really. I don't think it's necessary. We're critical friends. We are there to look at the information in the complaints and raise issues that we think are appropriate to raise.
Well, I actually disagree again. I think that it would be, we needn't take a huge amount of time to draw up the remit, but I think it is really important to be aware what the remit is.
My view is that we're about process. My view, and I feel this very strongly, is that we are there to make sure that the Professional Standards Department is doing its job properly, which is to scrutinise the complaints that are being made by complainants and they're being dealt with professionally and properly. It is not my job to sit there and scrutinise individual complaints and see whether this is justified or not.
I don't want to be hidebound by some kind of regime that's not of our doing.
May I suggest that, first of all, we ask the officers to look at it and to take guidance from the Home Office.
Should we have a vote upon whether we draw up some terms of reference?
If it might help, it's only with a view to help, because this is your debate, not mine. But with a view to trying to help with it, may I ask Steve to combine with Dinah to do maybe some work around some other forces as to how they approach this, and also maybe impinge upon the IPCC as to their perspective.
It says much for the lack of authority of this authority that the Deputy Chief Constable feels that he can patronise this committee with his ridiculous suggestions that the, to my knowledge, dishonest Professional Standards Department should consult other police forces, and also perhaps consult the, to my knowledge, thoroughly dishonest Independent Police Complaints Commission. At this rate, the committee could be abolished before they agree about what they should be doing. I can tell them now. First, however, let's hear Bratton again, as he did voice two key ideas on the subject.
My view, and I feel this very strongly, is that we are there to make sure that the Professional Standards Department is doing its job properly, which is to scrutinise the complaints that are being made by complainants and they're being dealt with professionally and properly. It is not my job to sit there and scrutinise individual complaints and see whether this is justified or not.
Bratton, however, is wrong in suggesting that these are alternatives when they are complementary. To check that complaints are being dealt with properly can only be done by the analysis of individual problematic cases. In the absence of that, the public will continue to be fobbed off with the numbers game. Even if the committee acts on both ideas without consulting complainants, their process will be analogous to proceedings in a court of law in which only the defence is allowed to speak. What is the minimum that the members of the committee are required to do, being replaced if they do not comply with the requirements? The Police Act, dated the 22nd of May 1996, required the establishment of these police authorities. Section 77 of that Act also required these authorities to keep themselves informed as to the working of sections 67 to 76 in relation to the force. Sections 67 to 76 of the Act are concerned with how complaints should be handled by the police. These sections comprise 54 paragraphs, many with subsections, stipulating exactly how police must deal with complaints. Members of this committee should familiarise themselves with those sections of the Act, and the word working means that they should at least be checking whether Sussex police are doing with complaints from the public what they are required to do by law.